Labubus are a great way to decorate your bag. However, they have been banned in the UK and can get extremely expensive. That's why today I am going to build the best $1 Labubu and the best $500 Labubu to see if it's worth going into debt to create one. Starting with the $1 Labubu, I had to scavenge. I got some printer paper and a pencil an eraser from my boyfriend's room, so they were technically free. I also decided to use some pens that my friend gave me for my birthday, so they were free as well. At first, I thought I would spend my $1 budget on this glue stick that I got from Thailand. I originally wanted to make the Labubu double-sided, but that didn't work out as expected. I began by sketching out the rough outline of my Labubu. I used the reference of the farming Labubu because I thought that would add a bit of interest to the otherwise pretty plain piece. I used one of the markers to do a black outline. This was quite stressful for me because I haven't drawn in a while and I was really worried about messing up. I colored the fur in yellow and as you can see it's sparkly. I don't know if the camera really picked that up. I decided against the glue stick because I had nothing to colour in the skin with, so I got one of my pro markers, which on sale you can get for $1. The great thing about this marker is that I managed to use it to add depth to the eyebrows. I also used some of the pink pen to dab on a bit of blush. And then I cut it out with scissors that I also borrowed from my boyfriend, so also free. At this point my hands were really shaking. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I was standing up the whole time, or I guess I'm just so excited about Labubus, man. And then I attached a paper clip to make it kind of a keychain, and there you have it, there's the final result. It's really shiny, but unfortunately it's not double-sided as I had to use my budget elsewhere. Let me know if you think there's a cheaper way to make it actually 3D, because I feel like making it out of paper was a bit of a cop-out. However, my $500 version is definitely 3D. First things first, I had to go to the library as my printer was broken and print off the pattern that I created with my previous video. You can buy it, it's on my Etsy shop. Please check it out. I'm planning on adding some prints as well, so please follow me there so you can be notified when that happens. After I got home, I cut out all of the pattern pieces and drew them onto the fabric. The printing cost me 10p. The fabric's a really nice thick fabric that's very similar to the original Labubus and it cost me around $5. I began sewing all the pieces together. I also wanted to factor in a living wage into this. Let's just say I volunteered to create the $1 Labubu for free to spread the Labubu message. However, with this more extensive project, I wanted to factor in a kind of artist wage. So I'm going to be counting up how many hours this took me and adding it to the price. Hey guys, I'm starting my little fan, super cool business. In my previous video, I made the face of the Labubu out of polymer clay. However, this time I wanted to go all out and make it more realistic to the actual figure. So I decided to cast one of my Labubus in silicone and use resin to create the face. As I've never used silicone before, I decided to first try it on this troll vinyl I had laying around because I didn't know how the silicone would react with the vinyl and I really didn't want to ruin my Labubu. My first idea was to put the troll in the bottom of a vitamin bottle I had. However, it was quite a bad fit and I didn't really want to waste silicone. I decided to make a mold myself out of mold myself out of plastic and hot glue. Because I mixed two of the silicone components in the actual mold, they didn't mix very well. So I'm glad I did this test beforehand because it didn't cure fully. At the bottom, as you can see, it remained sticky even though I left it for about a week. However, the vinyl was undamaged, none of the paint came off, so I was pretty happy to proceed. After sticking some masking tape on my Labubu and covering it with some plastic, I used the same plastic to hot glue like a mold around the face. I put so much hot glue on it, so I was really happy that none of it leaked because I can't say the same for the hands and the feet. The molds for those turned out much worse. Went and checked my Etsy analytics for the first time in a few weeks, and I was pleasantly surprised to find that I actually sold 3 instruction manuals from my previous video, so I just wanted to say a huge thank you, and now back to the video. The resin face was stuck to some of the hot glue because it had some texture, so I had to cut it off with an X-Acto knife. There were some air bubbles that I filled in with some UV nail polish, which worked pretty well and made it look a lot more clear. After that, I experimented with painting the eyes. I drew some on some paper. As you can see, I was trying to make sure I knew the size to do it because the shape of the resin distorted the eyes from behind. After making some with UV nail polish, I decided that they looked better on top of the eye rather than behind it, so I painted them straight on. I also painted the face with acrylic and glazed it with top coat. Gold to kind of make it more blue, I guess. I also decided to paint finished sewing the hands to the body, and I made another mistake here. I sewed the face pieces together before adding the face like I did last time, but I couldn't really sew it on properly, so I had to glue the face onto the fabric and then sew like a frame around it and glue a bit of it to the face as well. So the face is actually a sandwich of 3 pieces: fur, face, fur. Then I decided to do something a little controversial. I've seen a lot of people putting lashes on their Labubu, and as we're trying to make the most expensive Labubu, I thought giving it a little lash appointment. So I added some brown lashes. I also decided to give it a little manicure and a pedicure, so it's got gold toenails and fingernails. I then decided to paint my name on the bottom of its foot, like similar to the original. I could only fit AL on it, so that's what we're going with. And after those final touches, my $500 Labubu was done. So before I show you the final result, I just wanted to do a quick price breakdown. The fabric cost me $5, the face and all of the materials for that were around $20, a normal lash appointment would be around $100, a manicure and a pedicure would be around $200. I would say this project took me about 10 hours, so I multiplied that by $15, so that's $150. The paint supplies were around $10, and then all of the nail supplies were around $50. So all of this comes out to a grand total of $535.